think our church has always been about loving God, loving people, loving life. It's always been about really the simple things, seeing people connected to Jesus, to grow in him, to be discipled, to become all he's called them to be, to live lives of purpose and calling, and people understanding that they're not just saved, but they're called, and living with that sense of calling. And I think our themes every year for Hillsong Church really do connect into that sense that I'm called, I'm responsible, I'm excited about the possibilities, that God wants to do something with me, not just us together collectively, but me individually.
You were the one. There are no coincidences. You're never just in that place at that time for no reason. That God put you in situations because you were the one.
I am the one. I really hope it got in people's spirit for people to understand, firstly, a sense of responsibility, that sometimes it's me who's going to stand in the gap, not everybody else. And I think a lot of people put their hand up, and I think a lot of people realized that and had an expectation that opportunity was coming their way and walked into opportunity and possibility.
Just det. Tappar nästan. Jag brukar aldrig stå så här stilla när jag åker.
De brukar gå. Men jag går då. Hej då. Ja, men jag brukar göra det. Hej då.
The refugee crisis is in full swing.
What about Sweden?
Sweden has opened its doors.
1.2 million applications for asylum in Europe.
It was on the news and in the papers. Everyone was talking about it. No one could really escape from the issue. And it was a big change in the country.
On my way to work every day, I saw that. Thousands of refugees coming to Stockholm Central Station every week. The situation put a lot of pressure on the system, which now became very overloaded, and through that we saw a lot of challenges arise. It was a lot of talk about what can governments do. I started to think, well, what can I do? Instead of talking a lot about refugees, maybe we can talk to refugees.
We saw that a lot of the newcomers had smartphones. All the Swedish people is sitting on their metros, looking down in the phone, and also the refugees were looking down in their phones. And maybe we can use this to connect people.
We decided to create an app. Tobias was an app designer, and I had worked with product and business development. So these things were the things we had in our hands that came natural for us. So after our normal day jobs, we gathered a team of friends and colleagues, and we spent evenings and nights on this. And after 8 weeks, the team of a lot of volunteers launched the Welcome app.
Welcome Up. It's a very good tool. When we have connect groups sometimes, and I feel like, no, we're just Christians here now. It's not fun enough. Then I can go in and welcome them to our connect group. Tonight we have invited a guy here. Welcome Up. And I just write to him that, hey, you're welcome to our connect group. Klipp eller så.
Eller så skär jag bara.
Jag tror sax är det bästa.
Men då blir det lite så.
Arbeta fram tallriken. We're gonna pick him up and he's gonna eat pizza with us.
Ja, ska vi ta lite pizza då?
Yes! Jag har inte många matcher för Hawaii här.
Alltså, har du bott många år i Sverige, eller?
3,5 år sedan.
Ja.
Alla sitter här.
Och var kom du ifrån?
Syrien.
Vi tillhör kyrkan i kristna, eller Hillsong. Då på Connect-gruppen Då har du ett litet ord tillsammans från Bibeln.
Aha, okej.
Ja, så du ska få vara med här och vara lite så här. Du får ställa frågor och sådär. Har du varit i någon kyrka sådär? It's the best tool, I think, for me, like a Swede, to connect with the refugees and to welcome them.
Jag brukar lämna mitt gamla liv där nere. Så går jag längs den här krokiga vägen upp på berget. Och så är det bara liksom, det finns ingenting mellan mig och i himlen. Och så hänger man med Gud lite. Så blir man lite bättre varje dag. Lite förvandlad.
My story is, perhaps I don't look traditional Swedish. I moved here when I was 2 years old with my family. I was born in China. My dad, he has felt the challenges of not being able to speak Swedish fluently, having a different surname. So my parents has always encouraged me to work harder because in order to get the same opportunities, they told me you gotta study harder. So when this situation happened in 2015, I was reminded also on a personal level that the right to belong isn't something that comes easily for everyone. I mean, in general, is it only up to the minorities to fight to become, part of the society? Is it up to women to only fight for women's rights? Is it up to black people to fight for black people's rights? No, it's up to all people.
We're part of the welcome team in church. And as we say in church, like welcome home, that's really also what Welcome App is about. We're in the spirit of welcoming people.
Being part of church, we feel empowered to, to the everyday, to like every hour of the work week and feel sent.
The app today has been used by 30,000 people in Sweden and Norway, and it has created 45,000 unique connections between people. But we see that this is just the start. When we got the opportunity to actually work with Welcome App, it was a step out in faith for us. I knew that all of the jobs I had in the corporate world, they could easily be replaced by hundreds of people that stood in line wanting that exact job. But for this, there were no one in line for that. So we thought, if not we, and if not now to do it, then who else will do it? So that was the trigger to step out in faith. Making an app is perhaps sounds a bit crazy for some, but it was something that came natural for us because it was where we had been positioned and what we had in our hands. So we didn't have a master plan. We just did the immediate next step and next step. Didn't know what it would lead to or if it would lead to anything. We just felt the responsibility to continue and see what it could lead to.
It's true to say that every year people ask us, what's the vision going to be? And they come with great expectation and excitement. And in all truthfulness, it's the same vision that we've been out working for 30-something years. It grows and it morphs, and it's a continual revealing of calling and mandate and mission. And so we actually walk into a new year with that attitude of faith, and then this adventure unfolds.
We've certainly got new focus, but it's new vision within an old vision. And so I am the one. I hope that's in people's spirit, and they continue to live with that spirit. And I felt the same with New Roads and New Rivers. We're still believing to see new roads and new rivers. We're still believing to pioneer again. We're still believing that he'll crown our year with his goodness, which is some of the past themes we've had. So, I think we make this a focus for this year, but it doesn't end there. Let's believe there is more.
Some socks on, you think? What do you think? Oh. You wanna say hi? You wanna say hi? It's okay.
Carter has pure syndrome. On her 5th chromosome, the pure alpha protein is deleted.
We got some chocolate pancakes. Is that okay?
It's a significant developmental delay.
All right, where did those go?
Here, try it. It's like a cookie.
Is it cookie?
Yeah. How about that? Who's sleeping in the bed?
Big Clay and Mama.
Do we want to wake them up?
Okay, let's go see Dad. Let's go see Dad. There's so many different sides of Carter that I see. She's the most complicated, complex person that I've ever met, and doctors are baffled by her. Carter just confused everyone. We saw every specialist you could think of, a gastrologist, a neurologist, a geneticist, and the list goes on and on.
It was a major relief to have the diagnosis. She was the 40th case in the world at the time when she got that diagnosis. I think it's over 120 known cases now around the world. All nonverbal, low muscle tone, struggled with balance and walking.
All right, we're gonna leave in 5 minutes. We gotta clean up all our toys. Set, go.
Go.
Clean up all those toys.
As far as challenging our faith, it didn't rock my faith in a way of like questioning whether God is real or why God would allow this to happen or why us. He chose us to steward Carter's life, and I kind of wear that as a badge of honor.
Some days are harder than others. Those moments where she just starts screaming are my most challenging because I am so overwhelmed. And it doesn't really get easier. You just gotta keep moving and keep trying to make it work.
All right, we're here, bud. What do you think? Just show them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love therapy.
You love therapy?
Yeah.
Let's get shoes and socky booties on first. She has perseverance like nothing I've ever known. She does not give up. Go, Carter, go. So given the time, she can do it all by herself. You do it. I can't help. I know. There we go. There's just this little light in Carter, and she's just looking deep into your soul, kind of making you focus on what's important in life. And I love that about her because she reminds me what's important every day, and I need that reminder. I would like nothing more than to just hear her little sweet voice and to hear her say, Mom. It is definitely one of my biggest dreams in life.
My parents, they've been doing this for 30 plus years. They're every day, like, completely just into it. When they're here, like, you can see like sparkle in their eye. We do pharmaceutical research. We specialize in tissue cultivation. We also do stem cell cultivation. God gave this unique technology to my dad, 30 plus years ago. And we have access to something that's never seen before in the world. And we know that it comes from God. Early in 2017, I was just hanging out with Will in the back of the church, and then I was like, what condition does Carter exactly have? And it's something that we've never heard of before. My dad talked to Will some more, and Will said that, if I had one wish, is just to hear Carter speak at some point. And then, so that's what really motivated my dad. He's like, you know what? I think I can help. So we're looking at Carter's brother, Gray's stem cell. So we actually went down to the hospital when Gray was born, and we collected the cord blood cells. I don't believe anybody else have actually found these type of cells before. The odds of, just finding cells like this it's unheard of. I can't really put a definitive number on it, but I would say it's in the billions, 1 in a billion.
To find this cell in the screen is a miracle.
The ones that are all showing those 3 colors, those are the types of cells that we're looking at. We believe that those are successfully differentiated to neural stem cells. And then from there, we can produce those proteins from these cells. Then we can actually help Carter to develop normally by providing whatever she's missing. you think that you will hear Carter speak, right?
100%. I'm convinced. Not by my power. God.
We are actually going to have a full-blown clinical trial that's regulated by the US FDA to do these things. Just come up to this point, we've burned through several millions of dollars, and we're expecting to burn tens of millions of dollars just to get to the clinical phase. For-profit businesses cannot take on projects like that. But once again, we feel that God has given my father this technology and given us these resources to do what we need to do exactly for purposes like this. And we know even from our little bit of our experiences that when we take on challenges like that, then God opens new doors in ways that we can never imagine. And then we know that, so that when chances like this come up, then we'll put our hands up and we'll do it, even though we may not have everything figured out.
Everything is such a fight in this life, and they just come and offer help. It's just amazing. I have to be okay with Carter being healed or not healed, and I am okay with that. I just want God's plan to happen. I'm trying to be patient and realize that there may be a bigger plan than just what I want, and I know that one day she's gonna be singing and dancing, and if that's in heaven, then that's okay.
What's up, guys? Hi! What up? Hi, beautiful. How are you? Good to see you. How are you? Guys, it's crazy. It's literally been exact 1 month since the day. I was
I think it's so awesome to kind of share what was our breakthroughs and what was that day like, the realization that we all crossed the finish line.
For me, knowing that I ran a marathon that was 26.2 miles, I would have quit a long time ago, like if it was just me running this race. But it's like having you guys around me, like it was just super encouraging because like I didn't want to let you guys down.
I've just like had this shift of like, I'm just going full on with you, God. Like if I did 26 miles, I could do anything else, So I'm going for it.
Do you know how like when you're running and then you can see the other people like on the and I was like, if I just
When the invitation of running a marathon from my best friend came, in all sincerity, I wasn't physically ready. And yet, it's a little contagious when you start talking about the previous half marathons that we had done together. So out of that conversation led to the idea, what if for our 40th birthday, we run a full marathon? And I think with the season I was in, where 40 was kind of like a negative at the doctor's office, constantly telling me that, my clock was ticking, it became the motivation. We're in the journey of officially now starting IVF. All my life, I just never envisioned myself without kids. That just wasn't even an option. I've had my seasons when I'm like, God, I'm getting older. Like you've promised, this is something you've placed in my heart. You said I'd be a mom. And God challenged me in my own desire to see a miracle come to pass. What if I ran for somebody else's miracle? Trusting God with my miracle, but then believing for somebody else's miracle to come to pass. And then that's when God began to shape the why behind why I would run. By the end of the weekend that I decided to run, 2 people agreed that same weekend that they would run. And it turned into a ripple effect. All of a sudden, we had a team and everybody started running for something bigger than themselves. As a church, we were in that theme of I am the one. And then it just unwrapped to it being we are the I am the one team.
You got a cramp?
I was good until after a couple of hours. And on mile 17, like, that's when it just kind of really got real, the pain and the unbearness. And at this point, I actually had to stop and stretch, but the pain just kept coming back. After mile 18, it got really quiet. It was just literally myself and my best friend and another person that were the only ones on the trail. And I just picked up and like started running, speaking, yes, I can do this. But as I'm running, I'm going like, oh, I don't know if I can. At this state, all streets were back open. We don't see signs, and eventually we went the wrong way. And I'm like a bit freaking out, like maybe I should take an Uber to the finish. But then Welling texts me and is like, where are you? I will go to you and guide you back. And we finally like meet, and he's like, it's this way. And we go on the main street, and I start seeing the team. They're like, you're almost there, you know? And it's mile 25. And then from a distance, I see the little girl I'm actually running for. When I saw Carter, this beautiful, precious little girl I was running for, that the miracle that I'm believing for her life, it put everything in perspective. This was me giving it my all. Giving my heart and soul to saying, here, Father, I've been obedient to what you've called me to. And just like believing that yet there's still more ahead. And now to believe that the breakthrough is going to come out of that obedience. And it's kind of crazy, but I received the list of injections and appointments that we're about to embark on in this journey of IVF treatment. So I said, okay, God, I'm going to look at this as mile markers. And then, I don't know why, I decided to count how many appointments I have and how many injections I have. And it was a total of 13. 13 is half of a marathon. And I just feel like I kind of lost it crying, because I think that God was saying, you've done a full, you totally can handle a half.
People know Hillsong for so many things, the worship, the conferences, so many of those things. But I just am absolutely certain that the greatest blessing we have at Hillsong Church is the people, and there is gold in the people of our church. I'm really, when it comes to more believing, we're going to see God moving in a way we've never seen before in our church. People are going to be able to testify that God opened heaven's windows and they've seen more of his promise and his power working in their lives. And whatever they need more of from God, I'm going to believe this year with them, with you, that is exactly what you're going to see this year.
When the light succeeds the shadows and the morning comes again.
There's definitely more people to hear the truth of who this amazing God is. There's definitely more people out there, more ears and hearts to reach. The Lord says, there's multitudes in the valley of decision. And so we can't ever tire of that. We can't ever arrive as a church, no matter how wondrous and gorgeous it is. There's always more people, and we don't have to throw a stone very far from any of us to find people who haven't even heard yet that there's this gorgeous God in heaven who believes in them.
We'll take heart, set our eyes above and up, till we see again and stay fast, for our future is in Him.
Ephesians 3:20 has always been a scripture that has inspired me. I think that God could do exceeding abundant above anything we could ask or think according to his power that works in us, because our lives and our church's life is a living example that God can surpass our talent, our gift. I just think as we believe for that, Ephesians 3:20, the power that works in us, and that power, of course, is the power of the Holy Spirit, the power of Jesus Christ himself. As we see that outworked, we're going to all experience incredible more.